Are you a business owner looking for real advice and input? You're in the right place. From concept to launch to growth, funding, and beyond. Welcome to Startup Hustle with your hosts. One once sold a business for $150 million. The other, the author of $1 Million Bedroom. Here are your hosts of Startup Hustle, Matt DeCoursey and Matt Watson.
And we're back. Another episode of Startup Hustle. Matt DeCoursey here with Matt Watson. Hi, Matt. Hi, Matt.
Yeah, hang on. I'm doing some analysis over here.
Oh, is that what I hear?
Yeah. Hold on. I'm doing some calculations. Got it.
What are you adding up, bro?
How much money I need to raise?
Oh man, is that why I heard so much tapping?
Yeah, hold on. I'm crunching all my forecasts. I'm doing some analysis here.
Amazing timing.
Really?
Amazing timing, because we're going to talk about business analysis today. And we brought in a subject matter expert that knows a lot of stuff and knows a lot about business analysts.
Does that need like a drum
and
roll?
Other things. Stop with the sound effects. I'm going to tie your hands to your seat. So with us today, we have Andrew Shue, who's the managing partner. I'm going to learn how to talk before the end of this episode. Let me try this again. We have Andrew Shue, the managing partner of Spotlight Analyst Relations. Hello, Andrew.
Hello, gentlemen. How are you?
Good. Hopefully Matt got all this stuff added up there. Being here in the studio, I think that if you share the same opinion that I have, his numbers might be off a little.
Aren't they always?
Well, it depends on what we're doing here, but this is an interesting topic, riveting to some and a mystery to others. But business analysis, and for those of you listening, Andrew asked like 4 times before we started, what do you want to call business analysis? But because you have some pretty specific opinions on it, but it's pretty wide. I mean, there's a lot of ways to analyze your business, whether it be its performance, its value, its profitability, its future, or whatever. So what do you consider business analysis to be?
Oh my God. So if I take a look through our lens, right, Spotlight, we're in the analyst relations business, and a little bit of background, I'm sorry for being a little pedantic here, but in our world, that means Forrester and Gartner. How do we help our clients tell their story to that really skeptical and expert audience?
Well, let's because we always like to define things along the way. So Forrester and Gartner are?
They are industry research firms that hire specific experts who have a responsibility for covering a specific area of software or services, right? Who does what? Who provides a solution? What companies should Fortune 500 companies go buy software and solutions for when they're trying to solve big problems?
Matt, don't you use one of these or both?
At Stackify, we have a relationship with Gartner. I wouldn't necessarily say we get a whole lot out of it, but that's part of what we should talk about.
And that's so your business, which is, if you guys want to, if you're in front of your computer, go to spotlightar.com. So what you guys do is try to help guys like Matt get that message. What do you guys do, Andrew? You better tell us. You're probably better at it than I am.
Oh my goodness, we are such a niche. It's not surprising that it's confusing. So technology companies hire us for 2 parts of the relationship. The first one is, as Matt was talking about, how do I learn from this audience? Can they tell me something interesting about the market, how I should message to that market, what should I consider in my roadmap, and where my opportunity is next? So that's the learn side of things.
He just rattled that off as if like that's no big deal.
Those
are all like important things and very difficult to define.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay.
And admittedly, the analysts have different degrees of expertise based on the area that they cover, right? You have people who are really amazing and then people who are just okay. And then on the other side of the value equation, it is technology companies want to get famous. I'm sure some of you have seen the waves and Magic Quadrants that are out there. We help our clients get into those pieces of research and get ranked, hopefully at the top.
Interesting. Do you want to be famous, Matt?
I would love to be in the Magic Quadrant, but the problem is you have to be a big company.
What is the Magic Quadrant? Is that like
the Gartner Magic Quadrant?
I see.
Stackify is not big enough to even qualify for that.
Okay. So the Magic Quadrant, let's talk about that mainly so I know what it is.
The Magic Quadrant is Gartner's analysis of all the vendors in any particular market.
Okay.
How do they stack up against each other? Who is a leader and who is a laggard? And unfortunately, Matt is also correct there. There is a tendency to evaluate the biggest players in any market, so there's a cutoff for revenue for qualification.
But your company can help another company figure out what they need to do to enter this zone.
Absolutely.
Okay.
How can we position ourselves? How do we talk about ourselves? How do we win this competition, if you will?
And that's important because when you're in this quote Magic Quadrant, you become. Does that mean you're like kind of pre-recommended or?
I mean, it's more of an advantage to marketing anything, right? And go back to my clients and say, look, I'm in the Magic Quadrant. Buy my software. Somebody else said I'm cool.
That's right.
That's
So
really what you
hang
get.
on. I'm going to do some analysis real quick.
Gartner
Okay.
said we are cool,
Hang on.
and we are the leader.
Hang on. Startup Hustle is the entire Magic Quadrant
Yep,
for
we
startup
won.
podcasts.
Yes.
Like, wow. Now, I didn't have to hire your business to do that because it was a very obvious answer. But, all right, so, all the stuff you talk about is obviously pretty important. And when you talk about analysis or analyst, I mean, on some levels, some of these things are like just equations that you run, and then some of them become opinions, right? Mm-hmm. So that at that point, they become quite variable.
Right.
So is that something like, so you guys are analyst relations and stuff like that. I mean, where is it important for me as a startup founder to really be paying attention when it comes to the advice that I'm getting or the analysis that is being thrown at me? I mean, because it can be pretty variable.
Absolutely. Like all things, right? The source. I mean, all of us become experts in reading the different sources of expertise, right? We know how to read a Consumer Reports. We know how to look at a Yelp. Same thing with the Gartners of the world. As advice takers, we're looking at a piece of research authored by somebody who's supposed to be paying attention. Now, they're not omniscient, right? So when you look at this, look at the analysts and the analysis that they provide, we get a sense for what are the things that they can see and what are the things that they were told. But you have to presume that some marketing speak in there, right? So these analysts are being sold by the different vendors that are out there. So I think it's important for us as startups to, if we're going to look at that information and we're going to start getting a sense for the market and who our competitors are and who are the people leading that industry, we have to exercise a degree of caution and judgment.
Can we use Stackify as an example along the way?
Let me get a different example here.
Okay, sure.
So I was thinking about along as we've been talking. So I think a good example of this would be something like electric cars. So you have somebody like Ford or Volkswagen, all these people, they're like, oh, should we sell electric cars? Should we not sell electric cars? What's the demand? They do their own research, but they have their own opinion. Somebody like Ford's probably like, nobody's going to buy an electric truck. It's never going to happen. And their management team is like a bunch of old grumpy dudes who forever are going to drive F-150s, right? But then they continually talk to Gartner.
I drive an F-150.
You're an old grumpy dude.
Okay.
They continue to talk to somebody like Gartner and Forrester, who's like, no, we're doing all the industry research. We're talking to thousands of people every day. We have a different opinion. Here's the numbers. Here's the forecast. Here's where the market's going. You're a bunch of grumpy old dudes. You need to make electric trucks, right? And because so many businesses have their own echo chamber, like somebody like Ford is in their own echo chamber, and they keep sitting on the sideline, they decide
so when you say echo chamber, you're talking about the internal people.
Their own. Right. And they're like, we're not even going to make sedans anymore, which they don't.
Right.
Ford does not make sedans anymore. They only make big trucks and Ford Mustangs. And then you have somebody like Tesla who is killing everybody, kicking their ass, right? So the job of the analyst is to help look at Tesla, look at Ford, look at Volkswagen, look at the consumer research, talk to consumers, talk to everybody, and figure out where is the market really going, right? And Ford will pay them for that to get Ford outside of their own echo chamber.
Okay.
They become the third party person in this example who doesn't have a horse in the race. It doesn't benefit Gartner if people buy electric cars
So
or not.
They're
It's their job
saying,
to help
hey,
figure
we're
out
going to be unbiased.
where's the market
unbiased
going
as possible. Like we are data people. We're here to try to tell you what your opportunity is, what you might be missing, or what you might not even see.
So from a Stackify example, we might talk to them if we're trying to figure out, okay, Gartner, you have good relationships with the Fortune 500. You tell us, are people moving to the cloud? Or are they moving to serverless technologies? Are they moving to containers? And then how does that information, help Stackify and in our decision making to build product?
So you previously mentioned that you weren't in the Magic Quadrant.
No, because we're not big.
Okay, and then but I want to use this as an example because Spotlight AR could or would help them do what they need to do to enter the zone. Is this correct?
That is correct.
So how does that occur? And do you mind? Can we use this as an example? Is this fair? Or?
Part of the dynamic is who reads the research, right? So, okay, let's say Stackify is in the Magic Quadrant. If none of our customers would ever even look at Gartner or Forrester research, we don't give a fuck.
Right.
That's the bottom line.
Is this true?
Yep.
Don't care.
The only
and
reason
that is true. Our average customer is somebody who pays like our $200 a month for our software. The last thing they do is read white papers or Gartner research.
But if you all right, so now
if our customer was
you
the Fortune
decide
500,
you want to enter into a different level, and so that's it. And Andrew, that's what your company will help people do is say, you might be able to grab this amount of market space, but you'll need to do X, Y, and Z in order to get there.
Right. Well, and we have this too. Like every once in a while, we'll talk to a big client, and they'll be like, "Oh, we went into Gartner and we searched for Stackify, and you don't exist. Who are you?"
Okay.
And then that makes us less reputable because there's no data about us.
Understood.
Yeah, that concept of the analyst as a proxy to an audience is 100% right? So the people who read the Forresters and Gartners are typically the Fortune 500. You got the CMO, COO, CTO, CIOs, heavy executive decision makers looking to validate a vendor, try to ensure that they're understanding the totality of a problem and trying to think about how do I make a great decision here, right? So you're right. If they are not the people that you're selling to, it's not as valid, but it's an incredible third-party validation that says I matter, that I have something that's quote-unquote industrial strength, and that's been validated by an expert. So for that audience that references this material, they're hugely influential.
So this part of planning and growing your business is important too, because I can imagine that in many cases, what you're doing and what some of this analysis does too is try to help you not go down roads that are treacherous, not entering territory where you do not belong.
Right.
Sometimes it's just as much about saving money from not doing something dumb?
Absolutely. So if you think about what their responsibility is, firms hire these research companies to help them stay out of trouble, do the right things, and pick vendors, right?
Okay.
So their job is to talk to the Fortune 500, the Fords, the Audis, the GMs of the world, figure out what everybody's doing.
Startup hustle.
Yep. And then to also talk to the different vendors that want to sell into and provide solutions to those companies. So they're almost like Stackify solves this problem and they don't solve this other problem. Use Stackify here, don't use Stackify there. So that's sort of the core of the kind of recommendations that they do make, in addition to what Matt was talking about, which is the sizing of a market and the trends within a market.
Yeah, it's like I could be Garmin or Cerner or whatever, and I ask the analyst, like, we're looking for a product to do CRM. What kind of CRM system is a good fit for us based on our requirements, what we're going to use it for?
Now, when I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking about selling stuff or whatever. I'm also thinking like, okay, there's probably like a ton of opportunity that we're missing. Like, where are we just clearly stepping over dollars to pick up dimes or something like that?
Right.
So
another good example would be Full Scale, right? So we
heard of them.
We do software development for other companies, right? We help them build software development teams. Talk to somebody like Gartner. What are the trends of that? Is there more companies leveraging it, not leveraging it? The shortage of developers, how is that impacting people? All those sort of trends the analyst would supposedly know and provide feedback on.
Okay.
They're supposed to be the experts, right?
So Andrew, I know we can't get into specifics, but with who? But like, what are some of the industries or like genres that you guys really specialize in? Like, what kind of industry is like, man, we got to get these guys?
Right. So think enterprise, think systems of record, systems of engagement. So we have clients that are in the world of web content management, e-commerce, digital analytics, digital advertising, data and analysis. We have folks that are in security. We have folks that are in DevOps, right? So all the kinds of technologies that the Fortune 500 would buy in order to solve their problems. And then we're also have a ton of clients in the services space. So think large advertising agencies and consulting firms that either implement the software, make sense of it, or honestly operate it on an ongoing basis. So it's all Fortune 500 purchasing, and it's all software and services to that marketplace. Those are our customers.
Okay.
How much revenue a year do you think a company needs to do typically before they get some advantage from analyst relationships?
No, that's a great question. We have many of our clients that are, so on the larger side, we have the industry powerhouses, right? You think VMware, GE Digital, right? Some of the BMC, Micro Focus, HPs of the world, right? So that's the hardcore large side of things. But a huge part of our portfolio are startups in that B round, C round, D round space, right? So think 10 million in revenue, maybe even 5 with a lot of momentum. Think companies that are huge, they're solving the problem in a unique way. They're getting funding and interest from the investor community, and they're gaining momentum in the marketplace. So it's either velocity when you're small, or it's maintaining differentiation and market leadership if you're big.
Got it. Yep. Well, and that makes sense for SecFi. Like, we're just kind of too small for this at this point.
Right. But not forever, right? I mean,
Yeah.
companies like yours are exactly the kind of company that are trying to solve things in a different way. They're going to provide a solution that's going to be the next thing that catches fire.
Well, and we're slowly going up market. We're starting to sell more enterprise accounts, and so next thing you know, those enterprise accounts go into Gartner, and we don't exist, and that causes us problems. I mean, we get into all of that. So.
That's right.
When you arrive in the Magic Quadrant, will you send me an invite? Because I just, like, what I'm picturing is like a digital land of like bees and honey and flowers. Is that what it's like?
No, this part of the table over here
is the
in
Magic
the studio is the Magic Quadrant. Yeah, right here.
You know, and I want to thank you, Matt, for
Yeah.
clearly pointing that out on our audio program.
Yeah.
As you carved out the area of the
It's
the
right here.
table. There
Right
you
here.
go.
Yeah, right here.
For those of you that want to give feedback on Matt's newfound ability to be a Foley or sound effects artist over these last several episodes, you can find him at Matt What's Up on Instagram. Right? Yeah. Give him your feedback directly on that. It's quality. It's good. Okay, so want to shift focuses here a little bit because we like to talk about being entrepreneurs as well. So your business is clearly super niche.
It
right?
is.
And that can be a huge advantage, and it can be a nightmare. What are some of the things? Because all right, and before you answer, so I've been down to your office. You guys have an amazing workplace.
Thank you.
It's downtown Kansas City. It looks like you've renovated an older building, but it's cutting edge. It's sharp. It looks like a cool place to work. And I wasn't expecting like 40 people. And by the way, we never do this. Breland, who just walked in to take pictures, were you expecting 40 people when we went to visit?
Not anywhere close to that.
There you go. Yeah, that's right. Breland, our show producer, is in the room. But we were both really impressed with what you have going on down there. So it takes some time to arrive at that and deal with that. I mean, what were some of the challenges and hurdles and headaches and things that you were like, oh, wow, I never thought about that?
Oh my goodness, I don't even know how to answer that. That is a long, winding list of sleepless nights and things that keep you up. But no, your first question is niche. What advantages and what challenges, right? And I think that's an interesting place for us to start. Like many entrepreneurs, we honestly stumbled into this analyst relations things. We saw that at our previous company, we had a hard time really making an impact with these analysts. And
when you say we, you're referring to Rick?
I am.
Who's your business partner and someone we met. Rick's a cool guy, great guy.
yeah, my partner in crime.
Okay.
And he owns half my shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds a lot. That's how I describe you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except you're not in the magic part of the quadrant.
Oh my God, exclusionary. You gonna take this?
Dude, you just learned to
I
I
love
don't
it.
even want to be in the Magic Quadrant anymore.
You're not worthy.
I don't want to be in it.
Yeah.
If you're there, then it's questionable.
Yeah.
The circle of trust.
Oh, no, that's a different thing. That's a completely different thing. I want to be in that. Yeah.
Got it. But yeah, I think we stumbled into the opportunity, and then from there it was, hey, I think that this marketplace is first and foremost niche. There aren't great vendors in this space. People aren't really solving this problem efficiently. There's a market inefficiency, right? We can bring some of our consulting background and our methodological way of thinking about things and process orientation. And how can we take the things we learned in our previous life and apply it to a niche industry that maybe is missing a world-class vendor, and then try to develop something in that space. And that's pretty much how we came to it. So the advantage is that we got to bring an expertise and maybe inject a new bit of life into a niche industry. The disadvantage is that there aren't that many people who do it, right? You can't go out there and say, I'm going to hire a bunch of people who do analyst relations in the Kansas City space and get all the appropriate talent, and you have to go about it in a different way.
Now but you're dealing with companies that are not just here in our hometown, am I correct?
Right.
So they're all over.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Which presents a different challenge on some days.
Yeah, the majority of our clients are, not surprisingly, you're thinking Boston, Cambridge, you're thinking New York, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Austin, Chicago.
Okay. All right.
Pretty cool.
Are those people in the Magic Quadrant?
Some of them are, yeah, I bet.
Cities are? Is Denver located directly on top of it?
Oh, I don't know.
Because I was in Denver not too long ago, and some things happened, and I felt like I was in a Magic Quadrant.
Yeah,
but
that's a different thing.
It was?
Yeah,
That wasn't business analysis?
that was different, yeah.
Oh, man, I'm confused. I think I know what we're talking about here. All right, so for those that are listening, obviously not everyone that's listening has got a $20 million revenue company at this point. Hang on, I've got to penalize Watson. If he yawns during the podcast, it's charitable donation. Dude, we owe.
Pavlovian.
We owe, dude.
This is great.
All that adding that you were doing at the beginning of the show.
Oh.
Yeah, it's your charitable donation, bro. I know. Why are there so many commas on it?
Yeah.
All right, so not everyone has a $20 million revenue company. We all want to be there. What are some analytics and some things that businesses at all stages really need to be paying attention to in order to not have to undo a ball of rubber bands later, or maybe figure out where you're messing up and you're about to implode?
Yeah. If we borrow a little bit from like what the analysts are looking at, so theoretically they're in the business of helping us be more successful, right? That's their job. So us as vendors, when I say us, I mean enterprise software companies and services firms. How do they become successful? And what they're constantly looking at is the business, first and foremost, delivering something incredibly valuable in the marketplace, right? Does it solve something that needs and warrants investment? Is that problem growing? Is that something that needs to be paid attention to? What is the partner ecosystem? Are you doing it alone? Who are the other people making money in this space? So there's some checklist items that us, even as smaller companies that are not $20 million, can look at and say, am I laying the right groundwork for my opportunity? Am I thinking about that right? Can I articulate that clearly and efficiently? Can I articulate the marketplace and the size of the opportunity and the uniqueness of the problem and how fast is it growing? Can I talk about the other people who are making money in the space to say that I'm not a proof point of one, right? We are together. There are many people in this industry that are going to be successful. And can I talk about my business in more of an ecosystem rather than individual, right? It's not just us. We're reaching out to create partners, implementation teams, the marketplace. Well, how are we connected to everybody else in a way that's meaningful that the market has to pay attention to? So I think some of those are interesting ways to think beyond just is my accounting system working, and what do I do about Johnny and his weird emails that are going out to my clients?
Do you hear that, Johnny?
Yeah.
He's actually out there listening. That's our creative director. We were talking about you, man. Well, Matt, will you weigh in on that? Because, some of these things are pretty basic as well. Some of it, we've talked about this before, is and I made this mistake when I started Gigabook. And you're like, wow, anybody could use this. That's not necessarily a good thing. Do you agree?
It's definitely a problem that startups have, but also even bigger businesses, to place a bet of I'm going to go build this thing and somebody's going to buy it. Kind of like the example of Ford with building electric cars, right? That's why all the car manufacturers sat on the sidelines forever, because they're like, nobody wants to buy these things. And then Tesla managed to come along and say, screw it, we're going to do it. and they forged new territory, right? And now everybody else is trying to play catch up. I mean, as a lot of companies, it's hard sometimes to know where to place those bets and know if you're going to win or lose.
I think
and analysts can help.
I think too many entrepreneurs grossly underestimate how much competition there really is for what they do. I think it's easy to be like, and you get hear people say, "There's nobody else that does this." I'm like, "Are you sure? Like, are you positive?" Because there's a couple things that occur there. First off, if you are truly first, you might want to look around because there might not be a big demand for it. And I think that's like an analysis thing. When you think about starting a business, you need to, how big is that market?
Right. But at the same time, you don't want to pick a niche. You want to create a niche.
Yeah,
right. So that's the double-edged sword. Is like you want to go create a space that you can be a leader and really grow and be differentiated. And if there's somebody already doing it, then you don't necessarily want to be there. So it's a double-edged sword.
That's something that Matt talked about in the interview I did with him in $1 Million Bedroom. Is that you say like, hey, you're looking around and you drive through your fancy neighborhood and there's this big house here and a big house there, big house there. Like, but what do these people do? And if you really get into it, like a lot of times it is something weird. It's niche. It's that there's riches in the niches. One of our Startup Hustle alumnus, Laryl Holt, the founder of CarStar, is a big advocate. He talks about, hey, don't be afraid to be cowardly. And the first time he said that, I was like, what the hell are you talking about? It doesn't make any sense. And then he got into it and, like, don't take on the giants. Like, people come up and they're like, hey, I've got, take a look at my business plan. I've got an idea that's going to bring Amazon down. I don't even want to hear about it. You have no shot. You have no chance.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, have you had people give you those pitches, Matt? They're like,
I had somebody today
send
me a message.
eBay.
Yeah, somebody sent me a message today, and I'm like, I don't know how you're going to do this. Good luck.
Yeah, and it's like, but that cowardly approach is okay. It's like going and doing something, and how do you feel about that as someone that operates and owns and has founded a quote super niche? You literally define this as super niche on your own notes. So
I did. So I think that you're right. Like, how do I create a niche versus how do I sort of find an opportunity to go into it? I think that we have so many of our clients that are, and honestly, my friends who are sort of entrepreneurs as well. Sometimes we think differentiation is the only way to go. There's also like being remarkably valuable, right? So doing something remarkably valuable into a market that has demand, of which you can capture a fair share of it. So a lot of those big houses are full of people who have created something valuable, but not necessarily differentiated.
Right.
Differentiated is wonderful, and I think it's important for us all to find that. Is it the way that you do your work? Is it the people that you sell to? Is it how you talk about it? Of course, there's huge value if you can find something differentiated and really knock it out of the park. We are a niche industry, so they aren't giants, right? We have managed to avoid that, but we still have to create, we have an opportunity to dominate our niche. We have an opportunity to create the services, the software platforms, the training, the certifications. We can own our niche. But if I were in a bigger industry, I have a feeling that I would go for something valuable. I'd find a way to differentiate, a way to talk about it, or differentiate a market I could sell into. But I would not hold that as the only qualification for what to go after.
If you talk to Matt about your history with Vent Solutions, you hit on that same thing because your history with that company straddled what we call the housing bubble or the economic crisis.
Yeah.
And prior to that, I've heard you talk a lot about like, hey, so the car dealers, so Vent Solutions offered some unique, solutions for selling cars. But when things were good, people didn't really. They were just throwing money at all different kinds of stuff. But when that occurred, that actually worked to your advantage because you did have that sticky value.
We had something really valuable at a lower cost that had a high ROI for the customer. And so before then, if they were spending $50,000 a month on advertising in the newspaper, they didn't really care because they were making $1 million a month in profit or whatever. Where now all of a sudden they're losing money or making next to no money, and all of a sudden we provided a better mousetrap at a lower cost, and sometimes you're in the right place at the right time.
I think if you can help people sell more stuff, if you can help them save money, avoid a headache, do anything that, I don't know, man. I think don't undervalue what other people will think about anything that brings someone peace of mind.
Yep.
You know, and just like even like that was like when I started Gigabook, I was like, God, I just no longer want to have these conversations. What time are you available? What time are you available?
Yeah.
How about, here's when I'm available. Pick a time. Like that's how you booked to come in on the podcast.
I did.
And it was easy. It was easy, right?
Seamless.
You know what else is easy? Playing Mixtape the game.
Yes.
Have you played Mixtape before?
No.
You're about to.
Uh-oh.
It's pretty. So anyway, mixtapethegame.com, digital version coming soon. And that is true. Going to play it later today. Okay, so I'm going to read a scenario. We're going to name a song that comes to mind, and then we will vote. You cannot vote for yourself. Okay, so there will be a winner. It's probably going to be me. If you had an amazing voice, what song would you have sung to your spouse at your wedding?
Oh my God.
You know what I want to say, but I'm not.
No.
Because I'll get in trouble. I'm not going to use the hack. Okay, so what song would you have sung to your spouse at your wedding? And I'm going to go with that that Whitney Houston song that from The Bodyguard. If you ever know that you're my hero.
Oh, well, I was going to go with Whitney Houston of I Will Always Love You.
Wow,
Yeah.
dude. Uh-oh.
Because you said you got to have a good voice.
I didn't say you have to have a good voice. Oh, you did.
Yeah.
If you had an amazing voice.
Yeah,
well, yeah.
Whitney
so,
Houston,
Yeah,
I
inadvertently,
Will Always
I went
Love
with
You.
that. Can you sing a little bit of it? Because I don't know if everyone knows it.
No.
Why?
No, it goes I Will Always Love You. Yeah,
That's the whole
hook.
song.
That's
it just
the hook,
goes,
yeah.
I would always love you. And then
Yeah,
it's
I Will
over.
Always Love You. Yeah.
I'm trying to buy Andrew some time here.
Oh my God, I love it. I love the delay tactic. I appreciate it.
I'm trying to help you out, buddy.
I would
and
go
I'm also like mildly campaigning for your vote. It was what?
No, sorry.
Wait, no, I got that. I got a little bit of
missed
that.
it.
The smooth jams of Watson. I'll dig it.
The smooth jams of Watson.
Slow jam.
Thank you for tuning in.
I think I'd have to go with was it Harry Met Sally? It Had to Be You.
Don't know it.
What was it? Was that Harry Connick Jr., who my wife would leave me for in a heartbeat?
Yeah, mine probably
Yeah.
would do that too. Or Michael Bublé.
Mine would.
Yeah.
That's the same guy, right? Harry Connick Jr. and Michael
No.
Bublé. Oh, they're not. We went and saw Michael Bublé. I've never had more women or wives. People reach out. They're like, my wife wants to see Michael Bublé. Do you have any sweet tickets? Do you know the name of the? It's just a Harry Connick. Are you just going with the entire Harry Connick Jr. library?
Harry Connick Jr. It Had to Be You. I think that's the name of the song.
I don't recognize it. God, I hate doing this, but I'm voting for Watson.
Oh. Who are you voting for?
Oh, I think it's you, Watson.
I won.
God.
Woo!
I mean, so all right.
I don't even have to vote.
Well, I know you don't. And so here's the thing. There's something that I've learned during this episode that clearly that being in the Magic Quadrant
Yeah.
is valuable.
Yes.
That's a good reason to go to spotlightar.com
momentum.
and kind of check out what they do. God, I hate voting for you.
Yeah, thank you.
Do you want a prize?
No.
You don't? You're
No.
going to go. Do you want to? All right. We'll just, you know what? You're going to donate to charity.
I need more green M&Ms.
We really
Peanut
need to
butter
get some of
M&Ms.
those in.
Yeah.
You're getting greedy now.
Yeah,
dude.
peanut
You're
butter
getting greedy.
M&Ms.
So ever since the podcast ranked on Apple's charts, Watson's Rockstar demands, and this is something we need to analyze here, is why this happened, have gotten out of control, and they just keep growing.
Yeah.
You have a writer to come to your own podcast? I like it.
Yeah, he does, kind of. Yeah. Dude, this new thing where we're not allowed to look you in the eye, what's up with that?
Well,
Do I really have to wear this hood?
and your earrings too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. They look good.
Mm-hmm.
They look good. Excuse me. So, all right, Andrew, as we kind of round this out, is there any advice or input that you'd like to give to the future entrepreneurs and startups of the world? I mean, you've found success in the corporate world. You guys are crushing it as entrepreneurs. I mean, let's advise some people. It can be a do or a don't.
So my advice, obviously, hopefully it's something useful. People will give you all kinds of advice as an entrepreneur. You'll find it in a never-ending series of sources. Everybody has an opinion about whether it can happen or can't happen. Everybody will have an opinion of what you should do and can't do. My recommendation is if you want to become an entrepreneur, I think there's incredible value in thoughtfulness. And what I mean by that is, what is the opportunity that you intend to pursue? What are the different proof points that are going to make you say, yes, that opportunity is real? What is on your business plan that are milestones that you have to accomplish? I think that before the first shot gets fired, spending the right amount of time in the quiet of night over a cup of coffee, or in my particular case, a whiskey, write those down. Ensure that you understand what are the different gates, what are the things that are going to describe your opportunity, and what is the evidence that's going to tell you to the contrary. Because I think that when we get into the fight, we can justify almost anything. I think having a moment to, having thought through it, and having that outlined, and having that that sense of logic prior to going into battle, I think it's a good thing.
I'm going to say that Andrew operates with a sense of logic.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
deep thoughts.
There's some words that he used today that I have to look up.
Yeah.
Was it omnificent?
Omnificent. Actually, you know what?
Yeah.
I like that. Omnificent's one of my new words.
Okay, Matt.
It's a big vocabulary.
You ready for you're on the way out?
I'm
Can
ready.
You spell, how do you say it again? I will donate all of this money to charity for you if you can spell. I can't even say it.
It's okay.
Omnipotent.
As we invent our own words.
Yeah, I'm not going to give that a shot anyway. All right, so if you've been listening, make sure to check us out on Instagram. You can go to @Startup Hustle Podcast. I'm @DeCourcy Matt. If you want to give Mr. Watson feedback about all his sound effects or encourage him as to what charity he should give all his donations at, you can find him on Instagram at, what are you, Matt Watson?
Yeah, Matt, what's up?
And pull however many U's are in there. Do you have any social media handles or anything you want to plug? You're more than welcome.
Just at Spotlight. Just look us up. In fact, come look us up. Come work for us. Growing company. We need help.
I like it. And you can check it out at spotlightar.com. See you next time.
Thanks, everybody.